Boy, it sure is quiet. Too quiet. Yeah, I don't know why I thought this would be a good idea and that people would show up at 10:30 in the morning on a Sunday, but got a couple questions on Twitter about. I actually got a question from my buddy Erock about some of the stuff going on with the album, and I thought it would be better just to explain some of it, and then that way, if any of this stuff ever arises again, which very cool, people care enough to ask, just refer them to the video. Um, First and foremost, this is the cassette of Big Blue Wave by Ponytails and Cocktails, our new band. Well, it's actually a year old, new album. Um, I was going to do the CD breakdown, but then I realized my industrious wife had taken all of the CDs into Commonwealth Dry Goods, which is actually a good thing. They're available there. Please stop by and pick one up, or you can go to CommonwealthDryGoods.com and buy the album on tape or CD. But I did have one of the tapes, so I figure I could at least chat with you about that. Give some of the backstory on some of the stuff that we have going on here. Hello, Jeff. I'm glad. Thank you for ordering the album. First, the cover is made by a guy named Justice. He's as you can see his logo on there. He's a really good dude, listener, and he does a lot of luchador stuff. That was kind of the vibe we were looking for. That is Tapatio Cervece, who is the Norse god of Tex-Mex. If you listen to the song Tacos in Valhalla, you realize that he is the central figure. Now, if you've seen Ponytails and Cocktails live, you will know that some of his origin story has already been explained, but never in an official capacity on the album. But he is the focal point of the cover, and that, of course, is the ubiquitous Big Blue Wave behind him. But he appears twice. As you open this up and pull the J card open, that is the full totem of Tapatio Cervece right there. And if you have the CD, you realize he appears on the CD as well. And he's going to be a figure that we explore as we move throughout the band and its existence and its projects until I stroke out, or Dodson throws himself in front of a moving bus, or Dempsey smokes too much CBD and falls into a coma. Whatever it is that takes us out, we're going to explore more of Tapatio Cervece's origin stories, because as we left him in Tacos in Valhalla, he is residing inside of Coconut Dukes' brain, as it were. So there's a lot of headwater there. The other little Easter egg here is, I don't know if you noticed this, but that is, and if you get the CD, again, I wish I had one, you'll notice that frame by frame, there is a full breakdown of the I'm the Friendly video from the Chad Dukes broadcast imposed behind all of the thanks and the lyrics in the page. And the reason for that is that on the back cover, that features 4 members of the band, Lottie Dottie did not make it, and he was very depressed about it because, well, he gets very depressed. So to make it up to him, we did a frame-by-frame breakdown, me and a gentleman named Comedy Artwork, who is very talented. A lot of talented people helped us put this thing together. And decided to have Dodson included on the artwork that way because we forgot to do him in the back. It wasn't like we forgot. It just, there was an image used that made sense, I think, spatially, and you couldn't see him because he's a drummer. And he's sitting back there beating those skins like a waterhead, like they all do. So there's that. The track breakdown here. There's 10 tracks. One of them is an interlude. 2 of the songs are reworkings of songs that friends of ours wrote, which is, of course, I think most people can figure it out. Putman's Hair is a remake of Myrtle Beach by Sonny Ledford. He graciously offered up the song and said, hey, do it whatever you want. And it's basically just an ode to Club Dread as we are started. The origin story, of course, Ponytails and Cocktails, as we started as a Coconut Pete tribute band. Also, there's Canyons of Urine, which is a club banger, as they say, and a lot of people's favorite song on the album, at least so far from the feedback we've received. And that was actually written by the Reverend Peyton, who has a song called Open the Door. It's actually called Shut the Screen, I think, which you should definitely go get right now. It's a tremendous song. But I wanted to share. I don't have my phone, but I do have my phone. Last night I was sitting up and it's kind of late, and I got a text from the Reverend Peyton that I don't think you'd mind me sharing with you, where he said, "I really enjoyed what you did with my melody. Kind of reminded me of what was good about the melody in the first place. Thanks for believing in us so long," which was fucking awesome. And the fact that, I mean, that dude's the most talented dude on the planet. And the fact that he would just listen to our dumb album is cool. Then also share those kind words was awesome. It was really awesome. As those two songs. Big Blue Wave was weird, which is the whole name for the whole album and kind of like the whole vibe, I think, behind the band, where it's kind of like this tropical, weird movie deal, but also it can be very bawdy because it's this, we're doing the album in the vein of an alcoholic, kind of washed up island singing, bitter Jimmy Buffett hating Bill Paxton back in the early 2000s. So I was at Patriots and I was sitting there. I think Lobster was there. I forget, maybe Lawson too. And we were drinking those Kona Big Wave beers. And I just started singing to the beer can. And that was, I think, the chorus of Big Blue Wave. But it's what's cool about it is, and I feel like a fucking, no one's going to watch this, first of all. But second of all, you just feel like a narcissist talking about your own shit this way. But I don't care. I'm really proud of the album. Big Blue Wave is an ode to the beer can. And it is also a story about boogie boarding. If anybody's ever boogie boarded, you know that it can be some of the most fun that you can do, but also some of the worst experiences you can do. And it's legitimately the description of, I'm going to go boogie boarding, and it starts off great. And then by the end of it, the goddamn wave is pummeling you and it's dragging you under, and the board is somewhere over here. And because it's strapped to your arm, it's dragging you around. So all of the disgusting shit that unfolds is basically just as symbolic of your relationship between the wave when you start and when you're done. So if you listen to the first chorus, it's, wipe my tears when I'm with you, I'm not alone. And by the end, the wave is telling you racist jokes and ejaculating on your face, which necessitated Big Blue Wave, the clean version, because we got booked to play a gig in Falls Church where we were told a lot of kids would be there. And we realized immediately that if we were to play Big Blue Wave at this event, that we would be probably beaten within an inch of our lives, which would be a great story and maybe result in a great song, but we didn't want to risk it. So Big Blue Wave is kind of the title track. We want to be able to play it anywhere we are. So that's why the clean version was written as well. If you listen to the clean version, there's actually a nice little ukulele track in there that's different. It separates it from the original. Eric did a real nice job on that. Follow the Banana is pretty self-explanatory, but it's also about being sick of conga line shtick. And by the end of it, you just want everyone to die and you want to burn all the bananas. But it's a great way to fire off the show. And if you were there at Pleasure Evening, you saw that. It's a nice way to start the show. Son of the Santa is my favorite song on the album, just because I love Christmas and I like bawdy drinking songs. And it's both of those, I think, without being disrespectful of the holiday, which is actually really important to me. It's also a lot of fun. And it's one that I could see people singing along to at a Christmas party, if those aren't complete delusions of grandeur, which I suppose they could be. Percy Pelicans is probably the deepest song on the album for this reason. The thing I'm most proud about of the whole fucking record is not just I've been around a bunch of friends and we've never really had a big fight, and everybody kind of contributes, and it's just cool. It's fun being in a band and playing gigs and recording albums. Like, all that shit's fun. I think that's why people want to do it. But we serve a lot of mistresses, and one is, I think you can listen to the record if I just put it in someone's hand. Like, I'm not a great singer, and we're not, you're not going to confuse us with Fish up there as far as instrumentation. But I think you could throw it in and be like, this is fun. These are funny songs. Like, that's kind of what I want. If it was if someone compared it to Tenacious D on fucking Twitter, and that, clearly blows your mind. But the three different things that are going on in our little fucking universe is Coconut Pete, Club Dread, Jay Chandrasekhar, Eric Solhansky, all those guys. They endorsed us because the band represents that movie and carries on that legacy, and that's fucking incredible. When you think about how the talented people that have said they like this stupid thing, I mean, it's embarrassing for them, but it's great for us. There's that. Then there is the component of, I'm kind of the driving force behind what we write about in the songs. And if you notice in the songs, there are hat tips to three different things: the broken lizard stuff. And then there's the beach stuff. And the beach stuff for me is the Outer Banks. It's going to the beach, the things that I like doing at the beach. And so, like, we weave a lot of that into these songs. And a lot of the topicality is going to be shit that I've been talking about on various radio shows and podcasts for fucking, I don't even know, like a decade. And not everybody's going to get it. But Percy Pelican is a great example of that. And there's the comedy aspect and there's the beach aspect. So I guess there's like four different. We want to be funny. We want to be beachy. We want to be paying homage to Coconut Pete. And we also want to incorporate a lot of the stuff that's just kind of been there as canon for all the different projects that I've been a part of throughout my broadcasting run. Percy Pelican is probably the best embodiment of that because it's the continuation of the funniest fucking story that I can remember, where I used to do these beach recaps when I would come back from trips with the Outer Banks, and my wife and I would go down and I'd bring them with all my friends. And God bless that woman. I don't know how she stayed with me as long with the people that I forced her to go on vacation with. But my friend Blackout Bruce, there's a story that I think Bo Schembeckler and I actually concocted where it's a true story where he was cruising around to vape shops, or at the time head shops. I don't think there were vape shops back then. Head shops down at the Outer Banks, and he picked up some 23-year-old homeless girl, hand to God, who was, I think, of larger carriage. And they were going to go have sex on the beach, but there were so many flies biting his bare ass that they had to leave. And they went to the Sound, or if you've ever been to the Outer Banks, it's the patch of water in between the mainland and the barrier island. And it's only about 8 inches deep. So you can walk across the entire Sound. So they went out into the Sound to have sex. And Bruce heard some ne'er-do-wells on the mainland, and he thought that, I thought she'd shut me up, man. Thought that she'd been set up by this woman to have his Toyota Solara stole by her friends, which is hilarious. They would have been doing him the biggest favor of his entire life. So he stopped having sex with her and then army low crawled across the Sound to get back to his car keys that were sitting inside of his giant cargo shorts on the shore. Somehow that's the story. That's the shoot. Somehow that turned into he was so sure there was a conspiracy against him to steal his car that Bo and I concocted this story where it was a grand conspiracy, and that the girl that he had met, the homeless girl, actually was in cahoots with a pelican named Percy, who was waiting on the shoreline. And while Bruce was banging away at this girl, she slipped a catfish in between her legs. So Bruce thought he was banging her, but he was actually banging a catfish. And then she made her way back to the mainland, by which her and Percy, who had stolen the car keys by this point, drove off. And it's a very funny image of a pelican. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Brew Through shirts where there's this giant headed guy named Big D hanging out the side of a car, like doing one of these. If you look at the cover of our Nagstred album, it's kind of got that vibe. But the image of Percy the Pelican hanging out of Bruce's Toyota Solara, like twirling the keys on his fucking feathers, it's stuck with me forever, and it's hilarious. And then I think the story even manifested itself where they went to like a hotel, and they were texting Bruce pictures of Percy and the catfish having sex on top of his clothes, because of course his suitcase was in the back of the Solara. So they unpacked all of his, black and white camo cargo pants and his giant cargo shorts and his Primus t-shirts. And they were just rolling around on top of them having sex. And then for some reason texting him pictures of that to make him jealous. So that's the story. What Percy Pelican is that Percy took the money that he earned from selling, Bruce's Solara and his bongs and his weed and his clothes, and he used that to start a tiki bar in Pleasure Island called Percy Pelicans. So that is the So the characters that are actually in Percy Pelican really have nothing to do with Bruce, other than Percy is in there because he closes the barroom. But there's the story is kind of an offshoot. It's like a Better Call Saul type of situation. Well, I guess a post log, not a prologue, where in this tiki bar, a an alcoholic walks in, and of course, in this tiki bar, there's animals, the seafaring creatures in the bar drinking. One of them is a whale named Miss Fishface, and she's the real looker. And this guy picks her up and bangs her, but they end up having a kid, and they end up deciding they want to get married. So it's actually a love song, also, on top of all of that. And it's about overcoming barriers to be with the one that you love, including if they have a blowhole and luscious fins. So what it leaves us open for, and this is what my vision of it is, is that somehow we've got to incorporate Bruce into Percy Pelicans because that's where the story originated. So my idea was, and I've contacted a very talented artist that without getting too far ahead of ourselves, that potentially for like a vinyl release, we do like a little 3-page comic book prequel of what led to the events of Percy Pelican, and we slide that in. And so it'd be, what led up to that, or maybe even like maybe a flashback or something like that. So, but that's one of my favorite songs that we did because it's a stupid song about banging whales, and if you just want to sit there and listen to it, it's fine. And look, I'm not trying to sit here and tell you I'm Coulter Wall, but it is fun, like having songs that you create, and if you want them to, like, if you're listen to the Rodcast or you listen to Big On Dukes, that song is going to mean something different to you than if you just heard, stumble across it on Spotify or whatever. So that part of all of this is really fun too. And that's been something that's been very rewarding to see people like kind of piece it together, because people have sent messages and stuff and been like, "Oh my God, is that the same Percy that stole Bruce's car keys?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's him." Week of Tribulations is, I think it's our weirdest song. That is the one where in the middle, DH Pineapple breaks down and lets Coconut Dukes know that he has been having sex with Coconut Dukes' girl. And literally the whole song started by me saying, I want to do a song about that line in Boondock Saints where he says, "Shut your fat mouth. I can't walk down the street without running into 6 guys. I can't buy a pack of smokes." And so that was it. Like, I knew that was where the song had to come from. And of course, the boys helped me put the instrumentation together. But instead of there being like a true second verse, like this, we have 2 songs that just have crazy conversations in the middle of them. And I love this one because, and again, I don't know if this is interesting to anybody, but I don't care. Fucking Dempsey and I did a song about stupid Pastry Dan. Well, I wrote a song about Pastry Dan, and then Dempsey helped record it, and Pastry actually performed it. And it was called Stout, and it was a takeoff of Wheeler Walker Jr.'s Poon, which, by the way, is a great song, and you should definitely download it as soon as you can. But we did all this shit, and we fucking went into his basement and we recorded it, and we made Pastry sound like a fucking stud. And then like 5 minutes later, he punched out, and we've never seen him ever again. And so I think we put the song on the end of the Big On Dukes episode where we talked about Dan punching out on the show. I don't even remember, but I was really happy about that song. And I think that might have been the very beginning of what wanting to do all of this is having fun writing funny songs in Dempsey's basement. But in that song, I kind of want to release it. Like, I kind of want to put it out somewhere, even though stupid Dan's voice is on the goddamn thing. But who cares? Dempsey plays a character called the Disembodied Hayseed Voice, where he's like carousing Dan and like offering up assistance and helping him throughout the course of the song. And Dempsey's Hayseed voice is fucking hilarious. And I knew that at some point on the record, I was like, we need to somehow do this. And so the Disembodied Hayseed voice is the voice that DH Pineapple is doing on the record. And that's very obscure, but I was so happy that like there was a way to work it in where it made sense to him play that character in the middle of a song again. So instead of a traditional second verse, it's literally him and I just talking about all the different ways he's had my chick, which is weird to say, but these are characters, of course. As you know, we're playing DH Pineapple Coconut Dukes, not the same as the real thing. This is a weird, sordid sexual world. It's like Tarantino, where, From Dusk Till Dawn is a movie inside the Tarantino universe. And that's what we're doing here. You think I'm a little wrapped up in myself? So that's why Week of Tribulations is fun, is that, and then there's another hat tip to Bruce in there. And then the title of the song, this is why I fucking love it so much. We were, Dodson, who, of course, Tropical Depression Dodson, Ponytails Cocktails, was so fucking miserable throughout the whole process. And I think he loves being in the band. I think when it's done, he loves it. He loves playing on stage. But throughout the whole process, he's just sad and mopey. And, I love the kid, but he's very depressed and he needs to seek therapy. In the middle of fucking writing this song, like, he's just moping around. And I'm like, Dodson, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what's going on today? And he just looks up and he just has pain in his eyes and his face, this big mopey look. And he says, excuse me, he goes, Dukes, it's been a week of tribulations. And I was like, that's the name of the fucking song. That's it. And it was. So I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to see how during the process of writing the goddamn things, like, a lot of it will just manifest itself. A lot of it just gets pulled out of the ether. I remember there was a story where they were talking about how the Grateful Dead got their name. And it was literally, I think Jerry Garcia looked in a book and there was 2 words that jumped off the page and it was Grateful Dead. And that's how they got the name. It wasn't like this, there wasn't some grand meaning behind it or conspiracy. That literally was how it came together. And so far, I've compared myself to Jerry Garcia. I'm not comparing myself to anybody. I know exactly what this band is and I know exactly what my role is, but it is fun to write songs and then have that some of that shit actually take place. You're like, oh, this just popped into your head, or oh, you just said this, or oh, I like this movie. And it's been a lot of that. So I think that's all the songs. All the Banana we said, Big Blue Wave, Son of a Santa we said, yeah. And there's a lot of references that I didn't even talk about. Like the Hark How the Bells, Too How the Dale Went Down, like Clarence off of that bridge. None of the guys in the band, I don't think, know that that's an It's a Wonderful Life callback. They might. I don't know. They might not care. But Giddy Up, Giddy Up. Like, we piece lots of pieces from like other little tiny Christmas carols and throw them in there inside of the larger context of this drunken fucking debaucherous character that goes through the holiday season just running roughshod over people's holiday parties. So this has been 22 minutes. Okay, I'm going to stop because I can't even imagine who would listen or watch this. But thank you if you did. It's been fucking awesome being in the band, and we have stuff. Eric and I were out in the pool yesterday writing songs, so we have a lot more funny stuff to continue. And if you do, I don't know, if you have any questions or you have any comments or thoughts or whatever, feel free to reach out on all the social media. It is at Ponytails Music on all of it. So check that out. And we have a gig coming up in October with Sonny Ledford, Hill Country Barbecue. I think it's only like $15 a ticket. You can come out. That's my favorite venue. The fact that we're playing there is so fucking cool. And opening for that guy. And he's going to be Sonny Ledford. He's not going to be Doogie B's Yacht Rock Experience. So we could use people that like us there because Sonny's crowd can get a little rough. And also get the album. I mean, it's available on Spotify. It's available on Apple Music, Amazon Music, iTunes, Google Play, anywhere. All of it helps, by the way. If you're just streaming it on your Spotify, doesn't help a lot, but it helps. If you have playlists on those things and you want to add us to it, that helps too. What really helps is what I've always said, what I always do, hard copies. Hard copies. We got tapes and CDs available online, tapes and CDs available at Commonwealth Dry Goods. All that shit is very helpful. And of course, every once in a while, I throw the autos and stuff up on eBay as well. So if you've shared a kind word or watching this now, appreciate it. It's awesome. A lot of people don't care about DJs and their bands, and I don't blame them whatsoever. But the 4 guys other than me in the band are really talented together. I think we work really well as a unit. I think our songs are funny. I'm very proud of them. I think you can tap your toe to them and have a Corona. And if that's the case, then that's more than we ever set out to do. Cool. So that's been enough of a swimming like me. If you have any other thoughts, questions, suggestions, or even critiques, reach out on our social media. It's at Ponytails Music, and be subscribing and be streaming. Thank you, Coconut Commandos.